Mailbag Friday. It's like kind of a casual Friday, but you do have us three here. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple, Aram, late in the Just Baseball show on Friday, February 11th. And I just found something out about our friend and co-host, Peter Apple.
What'd you find out?
Found out that you're willing to spend $30 on airplane Wi-Fi.
I wrote an article. Why Aaron Judge deserves an extension. I spent $30 on Wi-Fi. You know what happens? I can't get through a flight if I don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, dude. That's the worst take ever.
No, it's not. Dude, you stare at the chair in front of you. What do? Don't say read a book.
Read a book. I also download shows and movies on Netflix. I use that time to cut off my communication with the outside world.
I use it to almost communicate more.
Yes, correct. Communicate way more.
Also, Jack, when you're up units, you splurge. You're up units. You splurge a little bit.
Is that gambling? I thought we were just talking about baseball.
I forgot. We're a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of units, a little bit of splurge. It is what it is.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot you are the host of Not Gambling Advice now. Episode 1 was a Super Bowl preview with Colby Olson. That was good. Good facial expressions came from the YouTube video. And Rams -4, I guess, is the play, right?
Rams -4. We got a ton of props. I'm not going to give them out on this show, even though I did give out Kevin Huber over 52.5 yards, longest punt. But you can hear the reasoning for all the props. Gatorade, national anthem, coin toss, Super Bowl MVP. But Rams are going to take it. And I got my LA hat. I'm in Vegas for the Super Bowl, and I'm excited.
God, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I think I'm going to have to eat at home, cater. Wings are like $2 a pop catering here in New York. Because we're going to have people over. $2 for a chicken wing.
They should be like 50 cents.
It should be 50 cents. That's like oyster prices.
It should be like 30 cents.
Yeah. It's a chicken wing.
Oyster prices.
It's oyster price. I'm a seafood guy. South Florida, dude. Come on. That's it. Like they're acting like chicken wings are a delicacy. I might just not eat for the Super Bowl.
Or get something besides chicken wings.
Yeah.
What's cheaper than chicken wings?
Pizza?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Is pizza like Super Bowl food?
You know what? Yeah. Why don't you just make your guests a nice Caesar salad? Go get a salad bowl. Go get some tongs. Toss up a nice Caesar and say,
Peter,
we're eating healthy, guys.
How much salad or how many greens have you seen me eat in your life?
Yeah, I'm trying to convince Arm to eat more vegetables. I think it just make him feel all the way better because I'm on my juice grind. We got to get Arm on a vegetable kind of thing because I don't know how he's surviving without anything green in his entire diet.
I'm running out of gas. Do you think this is why I am the way I am? Not enough greens?
Maybe.
Not enough greens.
I'd say go on a walk and eat greens. Like that's kind of the recipe to happiness and success.
I'll try it.
All right, we got a Q&A. We had a mailbag that we put out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Mailbag. And we got some really good ones. I will run us through these, and I will leave it to you guys to offer your staunch opinions. I'll follow with some solid opinions as well. First question came from Lefty D Hills on Twitter. Since the MLB technically isn't testing for steroids and PEDs at the moment, by the way, that will just ramp right back up once the lockout's over, I promise. Who's the one player that you guys think would benefit the most from steroids? Aram, you first.
This is hilarious because we were having this joking conversation about this in the staff chat. I asked for somebody to put together an edit of David Fletcher ripped. Realistically, like David Fletcher would be the short-term answer. I'd imagine David Fletcher just barreling baseballs up instead of just hitting them like it's badminton. But at the same time, what does a ripped David Fletcher still do? Like, I don't know if that frame is capable of doing much more. You got to think like skinny, lanky, that could put on some like mega strength.
Yeah.
I don't know because O'Neal Cruz would be my answer, but he already hits the ball 120. How much more power can that guy have?
I have the answer.
What's your answer? I want to hear what you got.
Imagine Byron Buxton on steroids.
Yeah.
Oh my dear Lord. Byron Buxton on steroids. Imagine him filling out to 230. He's already got crazy raw power. he could be a 60-50 guy. He might get faster from
60,
steroids.
60.
And the steroids thing, it's helping guys stay healthy. Imagine him on the field for 162 roided up. He'd be the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, so I was going to go with a lot of these technical things here. I was going to say anabolic steroids, those are like the mass builders. Those create more testosterone. Those allow you to, kind of build up your muscle fibers quicker and bigger. They don't help with agility or natural athleticism at all. But if you're watching the Winter Olympics, and I know I'm the only person on this podcast that is watching the Winter Olympics,
so unfair.
that 15-year-old Russian figure skater tested positive for doping. The substance that she used was a banned heart medication. It was tremetazidine, which helps. It helps with your heart, right? It spells angina attacks, but it also increases blood flow, which in turn reduces fatigue. So I think give it to a pitcher and let them be healthier than ever and let them go however long they want. If you choose the right cocktail, I think Jacob deGrom is the greatest athlete to ever walk the earth.
What was Roger Clemens taking?
I don't know.
He'd
be Clemens, but better. I was thinking, what about like Christian Yelich?
Oh.
Christian Yelich on the juice, man. The way he can backspin baseballs in that stadium. I mean, he was already hitting 40 jacks. Now help him get through that injury, help him feel a little bit more physical, fill out a little bit. Yelly could be a 50 home run guy on the juice. That's my pick. I'd go Yelly.
What about Trey Turner also?
But then he slows down a little bit.
Right.
Faster.
Barry
Bonds, over 500 stolen bases, even though that doesn't really equate to everyone else who ever has taken steroids, and he had a lot of them with Pittsburgh, but I'm sticking to it that it's going to make you faster.
Fair. Okay. Next question from Brennan Mayfield on Twitter. Any concerns about Mike Soroka? Peter, you first.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously concerns with the injury, but I'm not incredibly concerned. Also, if you're the Braves, you have Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Huascar Ynoa. Who else am I forgetting? They have like 5 pitchers. Tucker Davidson, Kyle Muller, Kyle Wright. Ian Anderson is the guy I'm missing. I don't know how I could forget Ian Anderson. But they have so many arms available. Anything you get from Soroka next year is a plus. So we haven't seen a ton of reports, but I wouldn't say I'm necessarily concerned. More just anything you get out of him is an absolute plus because they have one of the deepest rotations in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, but what Peter said is 100% correct, right? Like, if we look at it from the Braves standpoint, I'm not really concerned about their pitching situation with or without Soroka. I'm definitely concerned about Soroka. I was at Game 6 of the World Series, and I'm watching this guy still limping around, before the game, and I had like a pit in my stomach because I was expecting to see him jog a little bit and be like, oh, Soroka's on the mend. He was fully limping, and it's kind of nuts. I mean, time flies, but when he tore that Achilles the first time, I mean, that was in 2020, man. Like, we're going to be into 2022. We don't know when he's going to be ready. Achilles is already nuts. I mean, we're seeing some progress in terms of how you're able to get back from that. Cam Akers Exhibit A. But I think this was a fully severed Achilles situation. And then he had to get it done again. So I'm a little bit worried there. I don't know. I haven't heard of someone having Achilles surgery, then having to get it again. I'm definitely worried. I'm definitely worried about him. But from the Braves standpoint, again, like Peter said, whatever they get is a bonus. And hopefully that will allow them to really roll him in slowly because you don't want to risk anything else.
Yeah, like tons of concerns about Soroka for me on behalf of Mike Soroka, because like re-rupturing an Achilles tendon sounds like such a bitch. And I can pinpoint, I want to say 2 instances with pitchers where they tore their UCL, started the rehab process, and then re-ruptured their UCL. Daniel Hudson was one of them, the reliever who's pretty solid now, but there was a stretch of like 3 years of big league ball where he just couldn't pitch in a Major League Baseball game because he tore it, he started rehabbing, and then he tore it again in like one of his first rehab outings back. And then Anderson Espinoza did it too. He re-ruptured his UCL. And like that whole process, we know the mental health toll that it takes on people. And to go through that shit again, like I would be farther in the dumps than anybody. And an Achilles sounds terrible, but here's what you got to factor in. Soroka made a name for himself when he was stupid young. He's
still 24.
He's not turning 25 until the beginning of August. So even if he misses 2 full years of Major League Baseball, he could come back from a torn Achilles and then a re-torn Achilles before like a lot of guys his same age make their MLB debut.
Yeah. I mean, DeGrom was pitching at 26, like as in his first couple of years. Like Mike Soroka has plenty of time. That's kind of why I wasn't overly concerned for Soroka. I'm definitely not concerned for the Braves, but not overly concerned for Mike Soroka. He's a young guy. I think he's going to battle back just like he did the first time. I think he'll be okay. It may take a while, but I think he'll be okay.
For context, same age as Ryan. 24, yeah.
When's your birthday?
July 17th.
So you're older than Soroka.
I'm 2 weeks older than Mike Soroka, which is nuts. And the even crazier part is like Ryan Pepiot is the same age, right? Like highly regarded prospect with the Dodgers. He's the same age as Soroka. So thank goodness he came up quickly. And I think that really does help the whole situation a good bit.
Yeah. Next one, quick one from Brennan Mayfield. Do the Rangers go for Rodon or Kershaw?
Kershaw.
Yeah.
I think Kershaw is as good as a Ranger. Like he will be a Ranger. I just don't see the Dodgers. They didn't offer him the qualifying offer. There's obvious concerns there with his health. And Clayton Kershaw is a Dodger for lifer. You'd think that if they had the opportunity to bring him back and they really wanted to, they would have done it immediately. Now that they didn't, seems more and more likely that he'll go back home. Maybe it's a 1-year deal and it's maybe his last year in baseball with the back and all the injuries that he's had to go through. It seems like it's Rangers.
I could see Kershaw wanting to do something else.
I could too.
Totally honest.
I could see him like on a broadcast or something like that, doing like the Manning thing. Kershaw.
I could see him doing something non-baseball related. I could see him doing like charity work.
Why not just go back close to home, take a big 2-year deal, and then ride off into the sunset?
That's what I'm thinking.
Control your own exit. I think pulling out the sources here. I mean, it's pretty widely known, but I definitely feel very confident in the fact that the Rangers are going to pull out all the stops to try to get Kershaw, and that's something that I could say I heard. And I feel good about it from where I heard it. And it's more up to him. I think the Rangers are going to do whatever they can to get him. They've made it clear that they're going to spend. I mean, they've even already been tied to Matt Olson. I know that's not spending and financially, but it shows that they still feel like they got a lot more work to do in terms of building that team, which we all agree on. They want to go get Kershaw. That's evident. And it's true. And I think they're going to try. It's really up to Kershaw.
Yeah, a lot of the Instagram questions are really good because I feel like people are more willing to shoot from the hip on Instagram than Twitter, because I think Twitter is a little bit more of a public forum, and Instagram, it's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to ask some fun questions. First one comes from Cy Ingersoll on Instagram. If you had to spend a day with one baseball player, past or present, who would it be? I think I've got the best answer here, so I'm going to go last.
Arm, can you go first?
Yeah. That's a good one. There's so many names, there's so many guys I would go with, but I'd say Satchel Paige. One, I would want to try to convince him to tell me how old he is. But two, I would we talk about arm issues and health issues and all those things. I would love to just talk to Satchel about how he was able to throw a baseball for 100 years and throw it hard. Like he threw gas back then, like gas. So I would love to talk to Satchel Paige.
Cool.
I love that one. I mean, I'm kind of going along the same. I mean, obviously, I would love to speak to Jackie Robinson more than anything. Jackie Robinson would be the one name, but another on the side, Oscar Charleston. When we were talking to Joe Poznansky, he ranked him as the 5th best player of all time, and talked about how he's afraid of not overrating them, but he's actually afraid of underrating them. I would love 10 minutes with Oscar Charleston, or just to be able to watch him play, but to sit down and speak with, that's Jackie Robinson.
Fair. My immediate reaction was like Ichiro. I want to spend a day with Ichiro. I want to know like how baseball oriented this guy's life is. Like, I want to know, do you have any interests outside of baseball? But then I got to thinking and I was like, okay, I want to spend a day with Darryl Strawberry, because I want to know if all the crazy shit I've heard about Darryl Strawberry off the field is actually true. I just want to be a fly on the wall. And like, my liver couldn't take a night with Darryl Strawberry, but like, damn, I want to see it.
Is it bad that I would love to just sit down with Shohei?
No, it's not bad.
Not bad at all. And Darryl on a multi-layered, side of it, I would love to talk to him about life. I mean, this guy overcame a lot of stuff and a lot of demons and seems to be in a pretty good place too. That's definitely a great one. And a fun fact on Ichiro, he had a personal vacuum and would vacuum the area around his locker.
I love that.
Niner talks about Ichiro a lot on Outside the Box because he'll bring him up as like just a pro's pro. But like Ichiro spoke damn near fluent English, yet still had a translator because he didn't want to ever be misinterpreted at all. Like his biggest fear was being misinterpreted. There's just so many interesting things about him. That's definitely a great one too.
Cool. Next question from Evan Reaper. Is Barry Bonds' single season home run record touchable? If so, who has the best shot?
Not even close to touchable. 50 is incredible. He hit 73 home runs in 162 games. I don't even think, did he play all 162 that year?
I don't know. Let's go to Baseball Reference.
But I'll just keep going with my point because there's just no way anyone's going to get close to touching it. And I was thinking about it, is Pete Alonso the guy who, if you had a chance to get to 73, could Pete Alonso do it? I think it's got to be someone freakier. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be an absolute freak season. So, and the first thought that comes to mind when I think someone who could touch it, and for talking a freak show who would just go off on a random season, I think that's Fernando Tatis Jr. I think if there's anyone in baseball, he's the freak show that could do it. Possibly Giancarlo Stanton is another one.
And Giancarlo was like quote unquote close, right? I mean, he had 59 in that MVP season in Marlins Park, where you figure if he replicated that exact season in Yankee Stadium, I think you're probably looking at more like 64, 65.
I think it's a 6 homer difference.
Yeah, Marlins Park to Yankee Stadium, absolutely. Yeah. I bet Savant will probably have that. Maybe it's 3 or 4. Regardless, that gets you at like 62, 63. And that's like the max. Like, I think that's the max of what is possible in today's game. I think someone's going to get 60. I do think someone will get 60 in our lifetime. But I don't think 73 is in the cards. I think 60 can happen though.
As long as Major League Baseball is drug testing, 73 is never going to happen again. I promise you that. I think that is more untouchable than DiMaggio's 56. And I think 56 is still incredibly untouchable.
I think 73 is way more doable. 56 will never, like, no one's even going to
get either.
No, so. I think dude, 56 in today's game is so freaking impossible.
It's impossible.
40. I don't think anybody will ever have a 40 game hitting streak again. Like, I think we'll see. No, I'm serious. We will never see a 40 game hitting streak again. It's too hard. It's too hard. We have a no hitter every week. It's too hard to hit in today's game, day in and day out. I like Pete Rose was the closest, and he didn't get to 50. He was in the 40s. I don't think anybody gets there.
I don't think anyone gets either.
Got to what? 29?
Who?
Jackie Bradley Jr. He got to 29 in like 2015, 2016. Is that right?
Didn't Utley have a really long one too?
It was Luis Castillo had a big one. I remember Luis Castillo had like a 32 guy.
Yeah.
J-Roll had a 30, 38, 39 or 38, but I don't think anybody's cracked 40 since Pete Rose in 1978. So like you're looking at a situation here where I don't think anyone's cracking 35.
Yeah, I don't think 73 is touchable. Like, I don't think anybody can get close to 73 again. If they do, I don't think that person's alive right now. Like, I think it's going to take however many genetic mutations of the human race to form this weird, like, centaur-like creature to hit 74 bombs in a year. Barry Bonds, 2001, when he hit 73 bombs, he played 153 games. And his home run rate was 11%. That's got to be the highest clip ever. 11% of his batted balls were home runs.
That's pretty stupid. Yeah.
So that's
no
that deserved like a little bit of quiet from us. Just do like sometimes just take in what he just said. 11% home run rate.
It's really hard to get away with quiet time on a podcast.
We sometimes need that just for it to soak in what that even is.
But I don't want the listener to be like, damn, like, did the audio pause for some reason? I want them to acknowledge it. But here, let's acknowledge the quiet time. Yes, quiet. Okay. Next question.
Moment of silence.
Yeah.
Question 5 from AJ Bosher 9 on Instagram. What's the realistic timeline for the Tigers to be a playoff contender? Could they still be in play for an outfielder, maybe Conforto this offseason? Let's start with realistic timeline. Pete, you first.
Realistic timeline. I mean, I answered this question, it seems like once a day on the live stream. And I go up close to the screen and I say, Tigers fans, come close. Do we believe in the pitching? Do we believe in Matt Manning? Do we believe in Tarik Skubal? Do we believe in Casey Mize? Because there's no doubt about the offense. I mean, especially with the addition of Javier Baez, you got Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green coming up. We know how much I love Jeimer Candelario. They got dudes, but it's just, will the young pitching end up being what we all hope it to be? I don't know. I don't know if I believe in Matt Manning. I don't know if I believe in Tarik Skubal. And I believe in Casey Mize, but that belief has dwindled slightly when you just, take a look at his Savant page. And obviously, I'm not going to take that fully away from him because when I watch, I do see a good pitcher. But I don't know if I believe in this starting rotation. And then Jackson Jobe is still a little while away. Unless they I don't think this is the Verlander, Porcello, Scherzer guys that are coming up. So I don't know. I don't really have like a date. I need to see this season how they perform, and then I can give you a better answer. But this is a big year for Manning and Skubal especially, and Mize.
Yeah, I think, this year is going to be, no matter what the Tigers say, no matter what the front office says, this is a feel it out year for them. They want to see what the deal is with these three arms, because this is the year where you can really figure out what you're going to get from each of those guys, right? Skubal, you'll have your answer of what you think he can be. Same with Mize, same with Manning. I think Manning, you could probably give a little bit more time. I was really disappointed with Manning. I'm more optimistic on Skubal, and I don't love Casey Mize. And I know this is what always ends up going, our conversation goes back to, and we have that bet. I forget what the number is on ERA, Jack. We'll have to go back and dig that up. But I don't really believe in Mize. I like Eduardo for them. That's a guy that's going to be with them for the next few years. Their offense is a lot better. They have a catcher. They have a lot of things going for them in terms of who's coming up through the system. But I really think that they're going to assess this year, see how the three young guys do, and then go from there. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be severely disappointed by Manning. They're going to be fine with Skubal, and I think they're going to be shifted with their reality of Mize, but okay with him moving forward as kind of a middle to back end guy. So if they go out and get an arm, in free agency, and maybe Alex Faedo comes up or they trade for somebody, this could be a team that's competitive. So I think they could compete in the next 2 years. I really do, because I believe in that offense. And it's young, and it's only going to get better. They're going to get Miggy off the books in the next 2 years. And I think that money's going to be reinvested back into pitching.
Yeah. I don't know. You see competition in the next 2 years from the Detroit Tigers. 2022, 2023, I feel like, I set the date at 2024 because Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson will be entering their second full season. They're both going to debut in 22. They're going to have a full season of 23. And then 2024, they should be all systems go. That's when Skubal and Mize hit arbitration. So you're going to totally have your answer by then. Again, Miggy's off the books. No Candelario on the roster, but Baez is only going to be 31 years old at the start of 2024. I mean, I think that's the year where you let these guys work through their young kinks. And then you also have Jobe come up for his rookie year. His ETA is right around 2024. And you have the chance to make some moves and see what you have. So you talk about this being an assessment year for the Tigers in 2022, Aram. I'm with you. Use 2022 as an assessment year. Go sign what you need to improve upon. 2023, that's when you locate the remaining flaws. Go sign what you need to improve upon, and then you're all systems go. And I think 2024 is the year that the Tigers really storm the castle.
It's also just interesting, too, because if they're going to make the playoffs, that means one team's going to be out. And the AL East is still stacked. And the White Sox are still going to be really good. Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Michael Kopech, they got a lot of young guys too. The Angels are right in their peak where they have to win now. The Astros are still a really good team. The American League is just very competitive. And also, we're not even talking about the Guardians. We're excited for the Guardians' future. They have a lot of strong prospects as well, and I would say they have better young pitching. I don't think they have the offense that the Tigers do. So it's tough. It's like we can see the Tigers being much better, but then who's coming out of the playoff picture in the next 2 years?
What's funny? The Royals and the Tigers are kind of carbon copies of each other,
right?
They have a lot of really exciting offensive prospects, some good young players as well, a little bit of a balance of some veterans that can swing it. And then just young arms that you just don't quite know. You just don't quite know yet. You don't know yet. And that's kind of the same thing I think you see across both teams. So it'll be a race between those two teams. I think one of them will figure it out and one of them might not. So it should be fun to watch.
Let's answer the second part of the question at the same time. Do the Tigers sign a relatively big name outfielder once the lockout ends? 3, 2, 1.
No.
There we go. Shall we move on?
I don't see it.
There's no need. There's no need.
Yeah.
No need. Go figure out what you need.
Go get another pitcher.
Yeah, really.
You can do anything. Go get Rodon.
Robbie Grossman was good last year.
Yeah, he was good.
He walks a ton. He can steal bags. He's got sneaky pop. He's a good player.
Yeah. You have Riley Green coming up. I agree. Don't touch the outfield. You don't need to.
And Badoo.
Badoo's good. Next question from Jacars11, Jacarz, Jacars11. How long until you think the Nats get back to contention? Will Soto stay with them, or is he going to want to get out of there and win now? I think that's an interesting question because Soto's stuck in Washington until the end of the 2024 season. The Nats, while they did go and get Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray, have one of the worst farm systems in baseball. I understand they have Cavalli. I understand they have Rutledge, but there is nothing going on in that system. The Nats are in one of the worst spots in baseball right now with arguably the best player in baseball, and he's off the books after 2024. The Nats will not be competitive through 2024. So Soto's going to go get paid $1 billion, not by the Nats. And to be totally honest, like I sat there for like 2-3 minutes and I actually just tried to put a year as to like when the Nats are going to be competitive again. And I think them more than anybody else in baseball, I just can't tell you when they're going to be competitive next.
Jack, it's so funny. I had the exact same reaction. Like I'm looking at their farm system. I'm looking at their roster. And I'm like, the Nats are screwed.
Yeah.
They're screwed. I love Cade Cavalli. I do think he can be an ace. Besides that, so I have a question to pose to you guys. Would it be ridiculous to test the market for Juan Soto? Because you could have a franchise altering move. Like you could get 5 tippity top prospects that would change your franchise, especially where their farm is. Because we know baseball, it's a one-man show. Juan Soto cannot do it on his own. Mike Trout's like never won a playoff game. Do you want just a Juan Soto, Mike Trout, the same thing, never makes the playoffs, but at least you have Juan Soto and at least you didn't trade him? I don't think it's ridiculous to just see what it would just see. Would someone empty would the Mariners absolutely give Julio Rodriguez, give everything for Juan Soto? Because then I'm just saying, I don't think it's stupid.
If I took over for the Washington Nationals, if I took the job over, I would try as best as possible to come up with any plan to make this team better without trading Juan Soto.
Of course.
But I don't think I would be able to. I really think I would trade him. And you have to also know that there's a level of, I don't even know if they can afford to extend him. I mean, if they couldn't afford to extend Bryce Harper, and afford do they want to? I don't think they want to. A lot of teams just have a policy against giving out that much money. And you know what? The way a lot of these contracts have ended up, I don't blame organizations for not wanting to do that. If I was an owner, I would struggle to justify giving $400 million to a player. They just don't age well. Odds are stacked against you. When you look at the system, Cavalli could be great. Cole Henry is really good. I loved the Brady House pick. These are guys that couple pitchers, they'll help a little bit. There's no bats that are going to help you anytime soon. Zero. Brady House could be a star. He's so far away, like so
He'll be
far
a star
away.
in 2026.
There's nobody else. Carter Kieboom not panning
ETA
out.
was crazy. ETA was like 6 years.
6 years. Carter Kieboom not panning out is a huge blow to them. They don't have any path. Like there's no path. There's no talent outside of the select few guys that we mentioned. I think you would have to make that trade, as crazy as it sounds, because this is the only way that you can jumpstart this whole thing. It's really the only way. And you're not going to be able to spend your way out of it with Strasburg and Corbin eventually coming off the books, which isn't for a while. You're not going to be able to spend your way out of it. So I would start over. Robles and Kieboom not panning out killed them.
Oh my God, Victor Robles not panning out. It was like the nail in the coffin for them right away. If you had Robles and Soto and they both were who they were supposed to be, I mean, we're working with house money right here with the Nats, like boom. But Robles sucking is not good. A way to measure organizational success and like just a deep farm overall, like, you know, we talked about it at the end of the 2021 season, like pretty much every Rays affiliate had a crazy good record by year's end. The Nats, I was with their short season affiliate in 2019. They finished last place in the New York Penn League by quite a wide margin. In 2021, the Fredericksburg Nationals, the low A affiliate of the Nats, had, I want to say, like in 0-20 start to the regular season. Like when your minor league teams are really bad, that means that you don't have really good players there. And they have like some guys that I really like, a lot of those guys. Like I really like as people, a lot of those guys. And I think that a couple of them can turn out to be really good baseball players, but like you can't find me 25 guys in that system right now that can put together a winning team in AAA or AA or high A or low A. Like it's really hard to find 10 guys that are ready for a certain level that can actually win baseball games.
And how do you get that talent? Yeah. Like how do you accumulate it? Because you look at the projected lineup right now, like on Fangraphs, Lane Thomas, Cesar Hernandez, Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Yadiel Hernandez, Keibert Ruiz, Alcides Escobar, Carter Kieboom, and Victor Robles. We know that Strasburg and Corbin's contracts are immovable. Josiah Gray is one of the only controllable pieces you have. Realistically, the only piece that you can really trade for a return outside of Soto is Josh Bell. And then any of the other guys, you're getting a marginal return. So in that, right there kind of tells you everything. How else are you going to get your team where you need to go? You can't stockpile draft picks. You can't do anything else. I think you have to cash in your only asset, really.
I thought you guys were going to be so pissed at me for bringing up trading Juan Soto, but doesn't it seem like the only option, Jack? Like what else do they do? Because as constructed, nothing.
They could get fucked like the Machado thing. Like, do you remember when Baltimore got screwed with Manny Machado? They should have dealt him before that year started.
They sneakily had a good season the year before, though, and they wanted to run it back. And you know what? Like, I respect that. It imploded on them. Like, they actually had a good year the year before and wanted to run it back. It didn't work out. But like, they can't do that, because if the Nats do that and they can't cash in on Soto, they're screwed for years to come. They're going to have to hit on every draft pick. There'd be no other way. So they have one redeemable asset and they got to cash it in. I don't know when, but they got to cash it in.
Absolutely.
Can you compare it to a situation in the NBA? I mean, we're after the trade deadline now. Like, can you compare it to what happened? Like, what had to happen for Minnesota? Like, Karl Anthony Towns is a superstar. Anthony Edwards looks like a superstar, but they got to hit on everybody. And like, they're still not even close to championship caliber, and they won't be for the foreseeable future.
Well, and the beautiful thing in the NBA, though, is you hit on a draft pick or two, and you sign a guy, and that's your starting five. Like, that's the difference. Whereas for baseball, how do you replace, or how do you improve 25 men? How do you do that? With the draft, you won't be able to implement them quickly. You can't just sign guys through free agency. It's going to be a pain for them. I know people might think it's nuts that we want to do this, but I think if you give it one more year, see how some of these guys do. If anyone, sticks out or anybody pops up in your system, maybe something goes that way. But I think Soto ends up being dealt.
Speaking of futures of franchises, next question comes from Brendan Shelley. Who has a brighter foreseeable future, the Orioles or the Phillies? Pete, you first.
This one's a tough one. because you'd think, oh, it's clearly the Phillies, right? Might not be the Phillies. Orioles have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. And you can't get any worse than they're doing right now. And we've talked about the Phillies when it comes to free agents, how they have to sign guys. They have to sign guys because, correct me if I'm wrong, this Philly system isn't that great.
No, not good.
And on the major league roster, you have Bryce Harper and you have JT Realmuto and you have Rhys Hoskins and you have Zach Wheeler and you have Aaron Nola. After that, crickets. I would say the Orioles, as crazy as it sounds, because they have young, controllable talent in the big leagues right now. Pretty solid players. Cedric Mullins is a star. Ryan Mountcastle could hit 35 bombs. They have some guys, and then they have a slew of young prospects. But the Phillies are just managed better than the Orioles. Like we've said this before, is that when it's so close with like Adley, Bobby Witt, Julio, I sometimes give it to the organizations who I think can develop their players just a little bit better. Like the Orioles have had some of these great prospects come up and just haven't really been able to unlock them, develop them like they should be. Jack, remember we had that whole podcast episode on how many players have gone from Baltimore, all these pitchers like Kevin Gausman, Josh Hader, and have left. So it's there's a lot of both sides, but I'd go with the Orioles.
Jack, what are your thoughts?
So, like, Baltimore's got a way better system, and they've got the number 1 overall pick this year. And Ryan Miller just published a wonderful mock draft. You can find that on justbaseball.com. He's got Brooks Lee going to Baltimore at 1-1. Tamar Johnson, he has going 2nd overall. I know that a lot of Orioles fans are going to want Tamar Johnson, but I think Brooks Lee lines up better with the window that's going to open for Baltimore, like college bat. He'll get up while Adley and G-Rod and DL Hall are still under a ton of control. And then he all of a sudden joins Gunnar Henderson on the ascent there. So in terms of like who's there right now, the Orioles. But we also know that the Orioles have this affinity for fucking situations up.
Yeah.
Like they are, I mean, they've proved in recent memory to be kind of the most inept organization in baseball when it comes to some decisions there. And
I've
the
never
reality
seen worse
is,
pitching than last year. Last year's pitching staff, I mean, I think they had a 5.85 ERA. They were utter dog shit on the mound.
Right. So G-Rod works out. Hall works out. You got to find like 11 other guys.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Phillies have like those 2 guys who already made it, and then they're in that situation with, well, then what's after that? I mean, Zach Eflin is a decent arm. Yeah, Mick Abel. But like, do you love Mick Abel? Do you love Mick Abel?
I like Abel. I think he's going to be good, but he's still far off. You know, he's going to be 3 years.
But look at Philly, though. Stott's going to be up this year.
Which I do.
You've got a Hall of Famer coming off of his 2nd MVP, who's in his prime, and you've got him for the foreseeable future. And Philadelphia is a top 10 market in baseball. In the United States, it is a top 10 city. So, like, they're going to spend more money. And I just think the Phillies are going to be more willing to put the money where their mouth is than Baltimore ever would. I mean, Baltimore is forever going to have a sub $50 million payroll if they're allowed to have a sub $50 million payroll.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, my thing with the Orioles is I agree with a lot of what Peter said. Like offensively, I think they project to be one of the more exciting teams in the next few years. And they have a knack for drafting hit tool guys that develop power. And I love that. I love that approach. And it seems to be working with them on that side of things, but they just can't develop pitching. G-Rod is developed because he's a freak himself. And DL Hall is just disgusting. But he's been battling injuries. I'm nervous about DL Hall's health. And G-Rod's the only guy they really have there. They're not going to sign anybody pitching wise. How are they? Their system is all bats for the most part. I'm a little bit nervous about who's going to freaking pitch for them. Where I look at the Phillies, they're going to make some trades. Like they just restocked a little bit after the draft. I wouldn't be shocked if Dombrowski says, "See ya, Andy Painter." You know, they just drafted Andrew Painter, 1st round, big high school arm. He's going to take a long time to get there. They have 2 big high school arms in Mick Abel and Andy Painter. Abel's better. I could see them saying, see a painter, package him with somebody else, and go get another piece. If that happens, I mean, now this rotation's interesting because I love Zach Wheeler. We all do. Nola is still a really good 2 who's going to have a better year next year. Ranger Suarez, man, like he came out of nowhere, was a guy. Kyle Gibson is not great, but he's a good 4. And they went and got Hans Kraus, who I think could be a fine 5. So if they go get somebody else, they're in good shape. Alec Boehm is still 25. I think he could start to turn things around. If he doesn't, then they can go look at other areas there. I just love the core. I love Rhys Hoskins. He's still only 29. Like you said, Bryce Harper only 29, Real Muto 31. Like they still have a lot of run with these guys, another 2-3 years. I'm interested to see what they do, but I believe in the Phillies just being able to make lemonade out of lemons a bit more than the Orioles. That's really it.
Yeah, I think I went out on a limb there just because I do love this Orioles system so much. But I mean, the Phillies, like they're an 80-win team or above, while the Orioles are trying to get up to 70 wins. I mean, that's just the reality
60.
of the situation.
You're trying to get to 60.
Literally. Wins. So, and I was more thinking, wow, the Phillies system seems to be pretty barren. Their major league roster is not that strong right now. But then again, post lockout, they could go get Conforto, they could go get a big shortstop, and then they're right back to being contenders in the NL East. So yeah. I'd like to change my answer from the Orioles to the Phillies, but I think what I meant was just how good this Orioles farm system is.
Well, and what's crazy is again, like when we were talking about Phillies moves during the season, I'm like, I don't even know how they could feasibly make a trade. Like now they could feasibly make a trade. Like they could package Andy Painter, Johan Rojas, and like even an Alec Boehm and get a dude like that. They could get Matt Chapman with that. Yeah. So that's the thing here. Like they are a move or two away from going up there, where the Orioles they need a lot to happen. All that to say, the Orioles are heading in the right direction. They just got to figure out the pitching.
Yeah. This is mostly an arm question, I think, from Kevin Barrel. Kevin _BARRAL. Barral?
Yeah, Barrel. Yeah, he's the man. I think it's Barrel.
See, okay. That absolutely makes sense then, the content of this question here. Do you believe that Max Meyer and JJ Bleday make their debuts for the Marlins? Thoughts on Peyton Burdick in center field if needed for 2022?
That's a great question. Well, Bleday showed up to camp, beefed up 20 pounds of muscle. Which is pretty sick after what he just did in the Arizona Fall League. So I think Bleday cracks the big leagues this year, and I think he's going to do pretty well. I'm really sold on the swing adjustments. Everything I've heard from Marlins camp is really positive about Bleday, and the fact that he added muscle. I mean, this was a guy that just wasn't that physical before at all. Like he just relied on natural hitting ability. Marlins need a guy that has bat to ball skills. Bleday will be that dude for them. Holby up. Meyer, again, it's more about where does he fit in than anything, right? Like who are you booting from the rotation? Like, I'll turn that question on you guys. Cause I think Meyer's pretty close to big league ready. He'll be ready after 10 starts, but under the assumption that let's say Luzardo's throwing well, it's Sandy Alcantara, Trevor Rogers, Pablo Lopez, Eliezer Hernandez, and Jesus Luzardo potentially. Or Edward Cabrera. Did I say Edward Cabrera?
No, you haven't even said him yet.
So not even Eliezer.
Him out, but you didn't even put him in. So I was like, well, okay, kick him out now.
Edward Cabrera, and then Eliezer's the odd man out already. So like they might try and trade him. Who are you booting? Assuming everyone's like throwing pretty well. What do you do? What do you do with Max Meyer?
Do you think Max Meyer could serve as maybe like a Kopech type role, where he's coming out of the bullpen, maybe fourth, fifth inning, kind of in there, and then maybe work him into the rotation if he's just such a weapon back there, you keep him there because you can kind of fool with him however you like. And he's more of a 2-pitch guy right now, right? He's kind of trying to develop that third.
I was really encouraged by the changeup, but yeah, I mean, like that's the big question. Like, how is the changeup going to be? I think that's a great idea, Pete, because this is a Marlins team, and I know you guys will laugh, but like they're trying to win now. Like they're trying to do as well as they can. And they're better off putting Max Meyer in 2-3 inning situations, spot start, and have him up at the big leagues. Like we've seen that doesn't necessarily stunt growth, as we saw with Crochet. We've seen it with Kopech. That would give the Marlins a little bit more flexibility there, and it gives him some big league experience. I think that makes the most sense, and that gives the Marlins a better arm out of the pen, which their pen sucked last year. I don't care about the bullpen ERA. It sucked. There was no one that they actually could trust to get swings and misses. They need swing and miss guys in the pen. That might be the role for him.
Go buy some bats with.
I was just about to ask.
Pitching, like go trade for some hitters like Eliezer Hernandez and Jake Eater. Like, send them. You've got Erie Perez coming up too. They have so many starting pitchers. Like, go get a big league contributor at third base or in the outfield, maybe a center fielder, and like, boom, there we go.
We're preaching to the choir here. I'm just
I was gonna say,
I fucking know, dude. I know.
I was literally about to say you're preaching to the choir. If I were in charge, that would have been done 6 months ago. It would have been done last year. I don't know I don't know what's going on. They're stockpiling 50 arms, and I'm interested to see what happens on the other side of the lockout, because it's crazy to me. They want to start Javi Garcia in center. Why?
Don't do that. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. But Burdick, I think Burdick's
good at a
capable out
corner.
there. What?
He that good at a corner, and you're gonna.
He's not good at anything.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't remember him being that great at defense over there in the corner.
He's not good at anything.
He's a good hitter. He's a good hitter.
Fine. He's fine.
I just don't know, moving over from Milwaukee to Miami, how's that gonna work for him?
Yeah. After a career year, and he's I think he was a 108 WRC plus guy for his career as a corner outfielder. No thanks. Burdick, to wrap up real quick, can play center. Great athlete. It's just how much contact is he going to make? But that's a guy I'd love to see get in the mix out there. Crazy power, walks a ton, and the defense is good enough out there.
Yeah, he had a 36% K rate in 8 games in AAA. He was like 4 for 28 in AAA. I got to see him hit AAA pitching before he hits big league pitching, but like, that's a month in AAA. I think he's good.
Yeah. And he walks a ton to offset it, which, if he's a 28% K rate guy, but he walks 14%, that's palatable if that can translate at the big league
that's
level.
great. If he can walk 14% in the big leagues,
he broke the Marlins single season walk record.
Burdick, I know you've heard this story, Aram. Burdick in Katuitt was a temp guy. He a non-guaranteed contract, and game 1 of the Cape season in 2018, he hits 3 bombs in a game. So
can
then
you believe that
for the rest of the year?
At a right state.
That was the first full baseball game I've ever called.
Wow, really?
Did it against the Brewster Whitecaps. Peyton
No
Burdick
way.
3
Dude,
homer
that's awesome. That is so cool.
That's so cool. So funny enough, my host family, the Michael and Barbara, who were kind enough to host me for the whole summer, Burdick lived with them the summer before. So that was one of the first things I heard, was because it was right around the time of the draft. And they're freaking out. They're so excited about Peyton because they're so close. I stay close with Michael and Barbara still to this day. And they were so amped for him. And they told me that story. And I was like, talk about rising to the occasion. Because for people that might not know, you have your full season Cape Cod League players, but because some players come in at different times, some are tired, need a couple of weeks, some are still going in the College World Series. There's temp players that will jump on the opportunity to just be there for a couple of weeks. And very few will be able to convince enough to stick on the roster. And usually when the rest of the guys come, they send the other ones home. Hitting 3 home runs as a temp guy is a pretty damn good way to convince people that you should stick around. And that's just kind of like the gamer that Burdick is.
Yeah, and he was a Cape League All-Star that year. I mean, shout out Peyton Burdick. Let's end the pod with a Peters-centered question here. This is from Kevin Gross. If the Yankees sign a new shortstop, will they have a legit shot at the World Series?
Depends what shortstop, right? I mean, if it's Carlos Correa, I think they do have a shot at the World Series. Would I sign Carlos Correa if I'm the New York Yankees? No. If they sign Trevor Story, do they have a shot at the World Series? Yes. Do I think they'll win it? No. If they sign Andrelton Simmons, I'm retiring because that cannot be the answer.
I'm in. I'll get a jersey.
Oh, shut up. All right. So what they should do is they absolutely need to upgrade at first base as well. Whether you're going to re-sign Rizzo, whether you're going to trade for Matt Olson. So if they pair a Trevor Story signing with a Matt Olson trade, we're talking about something. But as of right now, the Yankees are in the weeds. I mean, the rotation is fine. The outfield is pretty good. The infield is pretty good.
Hold on. You just totally chopped out.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. So you can pick it up from...
my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, you're good now. But just pick it up. Restart your answer. You cool with that?
Yeah. You want to ask it again? Or you know what?
Sure.
No, never mind. Or yeah, sure. Ask it again.
Okay. We end the pod with a Peter-focused question. This one coming from Kevin Gross. If the Yankees sign a new shortstop, will they have a legit shot at the World Series? Floor is yours.
It depends on what shortstop. If they sign Carlos Correa, yes, I think they have a legit shot. If they sign Trevor Story, I do think that they have a legit shot at a World Series title. Do I think they're going to win by just doing that alone? No. They have to go get a guy like Matt Olson or even re-sign Anthony Rizzo. They have to make sure that they're upgrading at first base, that they're upgrading at shortstop. And I would love another starting pitcher. You know, I like Jordan Montgomery. I like Jameson Tyon. I like some of these young arms coming up. But with Luis Severino's arm troubles, I'm assuming that he's going to be okay. But right now, behind Garrett Cole, there's a lot of question marks. I do love my guy Nestor, and I think he's going to be a valuable piece next year in that rotation. But right now, shortstop is an area of concern. But by just getting one of the big shortstops, I don't think that puts you in pristine World Series contention.
Where does Andujar fit in?
Universal DH. Did you hear the American League gets 2 DHs now? So we have Andujar at the second DH, and his trade stock skyrocketed this morning.
Yeah,
he was literally Ethereum.
NL teams are he's Ethereum, all right now.
He just went to a 60 hit tool like you've never seen.
Yeah, he's. Let's see. I actually, crazy enough, I saw a trade proposal today with Andujar in it. It was not satirical.
What do you mean?
Oh,
no. Are you sure?
Because
everything with him in it has now been deemed satirical.
No, this one was not satirical. It was good.
What was it?
It was a very serious offer, and then just like Andujar was just like thrown in there though. Like it was one of those where like the offer was fine as is. It was a fine offer. They just threw Andujar.
Do you know the offer?
I gotta pull it back up. It was funny though. It was a good one. But people are always just throwing Andujar out there. It's one of my favorite memes. But Gleyber, where does he do?
Glaber's gonna move over to second, and I know you guys are more down on Gleyber. When he moved over to second base, it seemed like it was more of all right, now I'm relaxed. Now I can focus on the bat. Whether that's true or not, that's what it seemed like from watching him on a day-to-day basis. He seemed more relaxed at the plate, and the numbers showed that he was better once he moved over to second base.
Do DJ I think he's third?
Yeah, I'd put DJ at third. Yes.
DJ third, and then you just say peace to your guy.
No, Gio's gonna be. He's gonna have to move around the infield. Like he's gonna have to be our utility guy. He can play some shortstop. He can play some third base. You could put him over at second. He'd be fine. And the Yankees shift a ton anyway.
Hey, what about DJ at first?
No, I don't love DJ at first because I think that dampens his defensive abilities. Because DJ LeMahieu is a great defender, but I think his worst defensive position is first base, and it's also a position that it's not one of the most important positions defensively on the field. Like I'd rather him at second base. I'd rather him at third base. He's better there. And those positions mean more when it comes to defense anyway.
Have you thought about Aaron Hicks at shortstop?
Clint
He's under contract for another 5 years.
Yeah, but he makes no money. So I'm not that worried about that.
No money. He's like making more money than any Marlins made in the last 10 years.
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like about the Marlins, like they're not paying hitters. Yeah, just because Aaron Hicks is making $10 million a year doesn't mean like that's a bad contract because the Marlins don't spend money on their bats.
7 years, 70 is pretty trash.
Listen,
we'll see.
Florida, no state income tax. New York, how much do you pay for that shoebox apartment you live in right now? And your TaskRabbit still hasn't come to hang your stuff in the background.
I know. I haven't put the TaskRabbit request in yet. I haven't, and I've got more issues around here. My curtain fell down, so I wake up bright and early from the sun, and I just haven't replaced it yet. But we're rocking and rolling. I pay too much for this shoebox apartment, and state income tax. Don't make enough to know about that.
Do you guys disagree with my Yankee take? Do you think, like, let's say they sign Carlos Correa, and that's it? Do you think they're World Series contenders?
I think if they do nothing, they're World Series contenders. I think a team with that much talent is always a World Series contender. The Yankees seem to recently find ways to come up short, but if the Yankees did nothing at shortstop, I would still say that they have like a shot. I wouldn't be surprised if they put it together and made the World Series. You know, like that's a team that, again, like they could call up Oswald Peraza 3 months into the season and have at least a slick defender over there who has bat to ball skills. That lineup is so good, it doesn't really matter. I think they're contenders no matter what.
I've just seen this year after year. It's the same lineup.
I agree, but they're still contenders every year. They're still Vegas favorites every year. So like
that's ridiculous. They have like the second best odds to win the World Series every year.
And I also think that they have a lot of minor league arms that are going to come and help them this year. Ron Marinaccio, disgusting. I've been getting.
Thank you.
I get messages from. So I just had Joey Loperfido on the call up. Astro 7th round pick. Lope trains at the same place as Marinaccio in Jersey, and he texts me like every day, like, dude, Marinaccio is the grossest guy I've ever seen in my life. His changeup is like a left-handed slider. Like, he's going to be gross. And the fastball's nasty. He was like texting me videos. He looks gross. He's going to be a bullpen piece for them next year. Mark my words.
Absolutely.
And then Wesneski's a great depth piece, for them, whether you need him in the bullpen or spot start or whatever. I think Waldichuk will be able to help out at some point next year. And like, they even have still Clark Schmidt and Davey Garcia for 911 emergency. Like, they have a lot of depth, more pitching depth than I think they've had in a long time. Severino's healthy. There's a lot to like here in terms of the pitching. I think there's more going on than they've had in the past.
Year after year. I'm hoping.
Yeah,
I am slightly pessimistic going in. Like, that wild card game crushed me. It hurt me so bad, like so bad. So I'm not overly optimistic going into this year. They got to prove it to me. Out of all people, it's got to be proven to me.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of proving it, Aram, you see that jersey that I have back here?
Yeah. I don't know why do you have that?
It's a Tua Tagovailoa Alabama jersey. It's my brother's. He got it on a DH gate. So I just borrowed it for the sake of this because I would run through a billion brick walls for Mike McDaniel right now.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because he's awesome.
Oh, you like him because he's kind of like you a little bit, huh? You got to reminds me of you, Jack.
No, Jack's not
Nick at 30 vibe.
Jack's not biracial.
What did he say? He came out. What was his statement about it? I saw a tweet, but I never actually got into it.
No, he's biracial.
He is.
That's
it.
That was just it.
He counts under the Rooney Rule, which was just really funny because he just doesn't look anything mixed at all. Like, it just caught everybody off guard. He just looks very, very white. Like, that's just what it was. It was funny though. But yeah, I guess he fits under that. So what? The Niners get a pick for that? It was yeah, they get a pick, like, because your coach that fits under the Rooney Rule was taken away. You get it. I don't know. The Rooney Rule to me is so complicated and weird. I loved Brian Flores, but I am happy that they got McDaniel. Like, McDaniel's, I think, going to be the guy that if anyone's going to help Tua figure it out, it's going to be McDaniel. But did you see the video of him? Like, it was so forced. I think they literally.
That's why I love him.
Dolphins PR was like, FaceTime Tua right now, and he just pulls his phone out and he's like, "What's up, Tua?" Yeah, and they're like talking back and forth. He's like, "We're gonna have a really nice, long, professional relationship." I'm just like,
I loved it. It was awesome.
The most awkward, cringy thing I've ever heard. But yeah, I'm all in on McDaniel. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, fire me up. I'm so here for my
dude. The Knicks didn't make any trades.
You guys got Cam Reddish. Don't worry.
Well, and then Reddish didn't go to the Lakers. That was the thing. Like, LA was looking to get Reddish from the Knicks. I think it was like Westbrook for Reddish. Like, that's what they were trying to shop there.
Is Westbrook the worst player in the
NBA? I'd rather have Cam Reddish than Russell Westbrook right now.
I would.
Cam Reddish, they won't play him.
Yeah, I would. Dude, I'd rather have Jack.
Low post.
Low post.
Pay me the minimum.
Elbow jumpers. Yeah. You for the minimum or Westbrook for his contract. Give me you every day of the week.
You guys know how much money he's making?
Yeah, $44 million.
Making $47 million next year.
Oh,
yeah. At least Harden opted into his 47.
The NBA, like
NBA,
right.
It's not the same.
NFL's better. Go Rams! I'm fired up.
No, it's
NFL is better than the NBA.
Pete, last words on the Super Bowl before we send people into the weekend.
Rams -4. Lock it in. They're winning by 30. Rams will win the Super Bowl behind Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Super Bowl MVP +600. Cooper Kupp.
Overmodulated as shit. I love it. Aram, what are you thinking?
That's going to be a fun one to look in the waveforms when you go to edit that. It's just like, oh, that's where Pete was yelling.
Yeah. Was I screaming into the mic?
Yeah. I hope it's close. I think the Rams are the obvious pick. I just hope it's a good game, and I hope nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Do you want to see me happy in my Rams win?
I hope both teams have fun. Nah, I kind of want Joe Burrow.
Not really. Because if it was the Yankees, dude, I'd want it for you. I really would.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I really would. I really, really would. I swear, I really would. I really would want.
Really would? I don't believe you.
Unless they're playing.
I think you want us to be depressed. I think you
want
us to,
I would want. I would want you to get the Yankees World Series. I would not. The Rams is too recent, man. They just moved to LA. I get it. You have every right to be the fan of them, but you haven't waited long enough. You haven't suffered enough.
It's a good point. I haven't suffered.
Yeah, suffer a little bit more.
They lost the Super Bowl when I was a fan, though.
Yeah, that was the worst game I ever watched in my life. But
that game sucked. I had a teaser, one of the worst bets I've ever made. I had the over 36 points. I teased it all the way down, and I don't even remember what I had the Rams. I had the Rams as a 14-point. It's something crazy, and the game finished 13-3. You're just laughing at. Am I just screaming into the mic again?
No. I mean, your ability to just recount that bet is hilarious.
I could do a lot of them. I've made a lot of them.
We'll save them for next week. We'll save them
for not gambling advice.
Okay. You sign off with on not gambling advice, but on the Just Baseball show, you sign off with.
Thank you, everybody.